So, welcome everyone to Tuesday night meditation. Let's sit up comfortably, please. And you check out the body, see if there's any particular way the body feels like it wants to be twisted or arched or curled. Feels good to arch and curl. One more. Okay. You might want to try this as you arch your back, pull your elbows. Don't strain, of course, never strain for anything, but as if you're trying to pull your elbows together behind you, and let that, by as you do that, push your chest out to the front, like you're just busting your heart open to the world, pulling the elbows toward each other behind you. Don't hold your breath, just opening the heart, and then go in the other direction. Curl your tailbone underneath you. Curl the spine the other way, and then maybe arch again, pulling the elbows toward each other, opening up the heart center, and then curl. Now, when we arch, it's not a matter of bringing the head back. I have a tendency to do that, but actually it's not about the neck bones at all. It's helpful to just have the idea of looking down your nose as you do that. Then you won't strain your neck bones. So just be, I tend to forget that. So just be kind of looking down your nose as you arch, pull the elbows together, bust open the heart, and curl. Okay, so after going back and forth like that a few times, you may notice the spine and the muscles that support it feel kind of invigorated, loosened up. And then just find that place. Let's close the eyes now, actually. And just sort of find the place between arching and curling, where the spine has its natural uprightness. Now let's take a nice, long, slow, deep breath. Hold it for a few moments, not straining, just enjoying being full of breath, and then open the mouth, let out a deep sigh. Ah. And again, breathing in, filling up completely. Sitting, relaxing, full of breath, and then open the mouth, sigh out 360 degrees into endless space. And one more time. And one more time. Now just leave things as they are. The body's already resting in the seat. Every time you look, yeah, there it is. Body's still resting in the seat all by itself. So there's no effort, no planning, no concept, no strategy for the body to be resting in the seat. Breath is flowing in and out of the body. No effort, no planning, no attention paid, no mindfulness required. The senses function. You hear this voice, other sounds, feel sensations, any other sensory experiences, maybe colors dancing behind the eyelids, whatever happens to be noticed, it's happening all by itself. Absolutely ordinary, everyday awareness. Nothing special, nothing exotic, nothing meditative. The only thing that's different is for once, we're leaving it as it is. People think, oh, meditation is when something special happens to our consciousness, our experience. But actually, that's the other 23 and a half hours of the day. We're always trying to make something special happen. Ooh, let me try that ice cream flavor. Oh, let me look at this movie. Let me get something new somehow, which is fine. But this is the one time we're just resting in the absolutely regular, ordinary, everyday awareness, just as it is. Just for once, leaving it as it is. For once, not trying to improve our experience. For once, giving up on all our self-improvement projects, all our world improvement projects. Not trying to build anything. Just for now, just for once. Just plopping down in the middle of regular, ordinary awareness as it presents itself here in the present. And going, okay, let me bask in this. Let me truly be a passenger rather than being a driver or pretending I'm a driver. Let me just let things come and go. And let me notice that even that's not up to me. Things come and go whether I, quote unquote, let them or not. And of course, the things that come and go also include thoughts and feelings. Happening all by themselves, coming and going. And it absolutely, absolutely does not matter what the thoughts and the feelings are, whether there's a lot of them or few of them. All that matters is we're resting in the middle of whatever's happening. We're leaving it as it is. We're basking in the ordinariness of things as they are. We might notice that as everything comes and goes, the one thing, the only thing that does not come and go, which is not a thing, is this space of aware presence. This space, this awareness within which all the comings and goings happen. The one thing that doesn't change, because there's nothing to change. There's no qualities, no characteristics. It can't change color because it has no color. It can't change texture because it has no texture. It can't change size or shape because it has no size or shape. And we say it, which can sound like something separate from you, as if I'm aware of it, but it is that awareness. It is you. It is what we call I. I is awareness. Everything else, the thoughts, the feelings, sensory experiences, experiences of the body. All that's all things that the I is aware of. So when we say rest as awareness, we can say rest as I, same thing. Nothing to figure out, nothing to look for. It's this very awareness, this very space within which you were trying to look or trying to figure out. The one who was trying to figure out. You. Simple. I. You've been saying I all your life. That one. That's simple. Always right here. Just rest as this I, this aware presence. And you might notice that this aware presence, this I, is not contained or confined within the shell of the body. It's not contained or confined within anything. It's just something we might notice. We might notice that this aware presence, this I, is not contained or confined within the shell of the body. It's not contained or confined anywhere. But there's nothing to do about that. Just rest as that I, which you already are. So keep the eyes closed. And as always, just take a couple of minutes to gently ease the body back to a more active state. After a couple, 2, 3 minutes, you can slowly open the eyes. Okay, how's everybody doing? Everybody good? Good. Sending semaphores. What's the semaphore signal for? Okay. Any questions or comments tonight?
Yeah, Dean,
Yes.
got a question.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, how often, it's kind of an open to everybody, starting with you, but how often a day do you meditate and that you find it beneficial? I've been doing it once a day for about 15 minutes to half hour.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden I started doing it for 10 minutes another time.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't feel like it was doing anything, but then I noticed a dramatic difference in my performance, and I was going, wait a minute, it's one of the, like you get out of 10 minutes, you go, okay, at least I stopped, and then all of a sudden what I was doing was dramatically better, and I was like, what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So how what have you seen as far as amount of time you spend meditating and
Right.
getting an impact?
Now, when you say dramatically better, are you talking about the experience during meditation or the way the rest of your day goes?
The rest of the day.
Excellent. Good, good. This is words I love to hear. So you you have learned well, grasshopper. Um, yeah. Um, yeah, that we don't fetishize the subjective experience during meditation. It's just we take a totally what the hell attitude about the experience during meditation. We know that we're just there. We're there without effort. We're there in simplicity. We're there in grace and surrender, accepting whatever the hell happens. I'm a passenger. I'm not the driver. And then where the rubber meets the road is in the other 23 and a half hours or so. Um, so sounds like, John, whatever you're doing sounds like it's pretty good.
And that's the weird thing, because it absolutely, when I'm doing it, it's just what you're saying. It's like, oh well, I did it.
Right.
And then the rest of the day I'm going, whoa, what happened?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how long though, I mean, is length of time, like I said, I'm doing it at night every night, but then
Yeah.
just 2 minutes and
Yeah.
boom.
Well, it sounds like your intuition's good. Something inside you said, "Oh, let me add some more. Let me add another 10 minutes here." And because see, at this point, you're a mature practitioner. You're for beginners, it's really generally speaking, it's like good to put them on a regimen. The old days when I taught TM, we were, okay, now you meditate twice a day for 15 minutes, or you meditate twice a day for 20 minutes. And that's good in the sense that it gives people a program and they stick with it. And then once they start to see the results, they're going to stick with it, right?
Yeah.
You get some momentum going. Um, but past a certain point, there's a certain rigidity to just being on a program of a prescribed number of times you meditate, or the amount of time that you meditate. And this is where we become mature practitioners. It's the difference between being a beginning musician. You play the scales, you master the scales, and then you start playing, tunes from sheet music. And then as a mature musician, you start noodling, and you start being able to, I'm thinking in terms of jazz or rock, you get the sense of how the chord changes work, and you start to play. That's when it really starts to become fun. You're in the groove, and you go with it. So yeah, this is where we are now, and it's great. It's great. So there's no particular, you see where I'm going with this, there's no one size fits all answer for this.
Right.
There does seem to be something really good about sitting down every day. You know, I mean, in a sense, that's about as far as I go in general with trying to like lay out a program for people, which is pretty minimal. But I feel there, there's this term in the Buddhist vocabulary, samaya, 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 which means something like bond, agreement. And typically, especially in the Vajrayana, in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, you get these empowerments. Like you go to this teaching, there's this lama, and he or she will do a particular, usually there's some ritual stuff, and they hold up a crystal that everyone looks at, and they chant some stuff and all that, and then they give you the empowerment. They give you a particular mantra or technique, and now you're empowered to practice it. But generally, along with that, there's a samaya, there's a commitment that, okay, you're going to do this for this many time. You're going to, and in the Tibetan stuff, old school, they can be very hardcore about this. You make the commitment, you're going to do 100,000 repetitions of this mantra, right? And you've got your mala, your beads there for counting it out, or you're not per day, right? Or the Tibetans often are very into prostrations, and they've got their prostration board, and you made the commitment, you're gonna do, it's like Muslims making the commitment to go on the pilgrimage. You're going to do your 500,000 prostrations, saying this mantra every time. I could never do that stuff. That was way too much boot camp for me, right? But that's different strokes for different folks. So yeah, it's. I think it's, you find it's a routine that's comfortable, and then sometimes it's maybe time to shake it up. Do more, do less, do add, do different time of day. For myself, but again, this is just not particularly relevant necessarily for other people. But well, okay, this could be because we're dealing here with mature practitioners. This will be relevant for a lot of people. I would say more and more for me these days, the kind of where the action is. It certainly is in, yeah. Yafa and I, we get up every morning after we shower, we stretch, we do some yoga, we sit down here right in front of on the floor in front of the little altar here. We we chant some mantras and we meditate. Um, so as far as doing formal sitting down, I'm doing it generally once a day, and then sometimes more when I'm leading practice like this a couple of times a week. And remember, when you all get to meditate in these group practices, so do I. So that's always nice. Um, but more and more, I'm finding that the action for me is actually in the other 23 hours of the day, where because you start to find out that's not just, as we were saying a few minutes ago, that's where you get the result of the practice, but in subtler ways that are a little harder to describe, the other 23 hours start to also be practice.
Hmm.
Okay. For example, and this is something that I've actually this has just kind of been happening for me lately, and this is something I think I feel to share. There was a particular pointing, I don't want to say instruction because I'm in the meditations, I'm not giving you anything to do, but I'm pointing to certain things. So there was a particular pointing that I gave tonight, which is perhaps we can notice that this aware presence, this I, is not contained or confined within the shell of the body. Okay? Okay. Now, you don't have to be sitting with your eyes closed to notice that. Okay? Perhaps you can notice that right now. All right? Where's this experience taking place? You're experiencing hearing this conversation. You're seeing the screen of your computer or your phone or your tablet. Where are these experiences taking place? Okay, not a trick question. It's taking place within awareness, where all experience takes place. Right? Now, we're not just following a line of logic here. We're everything I'm saying is referring to your actual experience right now. Are you aware? Yeah. Right? Is there a sense of I? Sure. No, no sense of I. The sense of the experiencer, right? The experiencer, the through line, the silent presence. That's the experiencer of everything. This presence. Now and there's a tendency to think, oh yeah, that is somehow like space. Okay, we say it's like space. It's like the space within which all these experiences happen, the thoughts happen. But there's a tendency to feel, especially you're sitting there with the eyes closed, as if, oh, that's a space inside the body. As if it's contained within the shell of the body. Okay? But it's not. It's not. And this is something that this may resonate for you right now. It may not resonate for you right now. If it doesn't, don't worry about it. But it'll be in the back of your head, and maybe it'll resonate for you tomorrow or next week. That this space of awareness, you're not walking around with this shell of a body that's filled with awareness. It's more like you're walking around within this awareness. The space is not contained within the body. There's a Zen story some of you are familiar with, and I've been hearing this story for years, and it's finally started to. I thought I understood it, but it's from kind of working with this thing I'm talking about now, it's resonating for me in a completely different way. Maybe it will for you. So this is the story about the guy. He's a high government official of some kind, and he goes to the Roshi, the Zen master, with his question, and he says, so Roshi, master, there's a guy, he's got this precious bottle, he's got this precious jar or bottle, and the goose egg was put inside of it. He put a goose egg inside of it, and then the goose egg hatched, and there's now a baby goose in there, and it's starting to grow. It's going to be very uncomfortable in that thing, but it's a precious jar. How can we get the goose out of the bottle without harming the goose and without breaking the bottle? That's the question. And this is a high government official. Everyone, refers to him as, oh yes, Undersecretary of the Treasury, blah, blah, blah. But let's say his first name is Bob or something. And the teacher thinks about it for a second, and then he goes, "Hey, Bob!" And the guy goes, "Yeah?" And the teacher says, "The goose is out." Okay? Now, of course, what happened when he went, "Hey, Bob," the guy was startled. He didn't expect that. And he just responded from a completely real, alert place. Nothing, it kind of, all his concepts, his stories, this whole thing about the goose, all that momentarily was swept away. Yeah, what? And then the goose is out. Of course, the jar is the shell of the body. The body, the personality, the individuality, the small, separate so-called self. The whole form of what we think we are. And it's precious to us. We spend a whole life, we take care of this body. We do maintenance. We clean it. We brush its teeth, right? We do all this. And the personality, we tend to like this personality. We like the jokes that it tells. We like its history. We flip through its iPhoto album. We cherish its relationships. That's the jar. That's the form. All right? And it's great. It's fine, except that it seems like the goose, right, the precious, the other precious thing, is stuck inside of it. The awareness is confined within the shape, within the form of body and personality. And there's something about that that's intolerable. There's an intuition, there's an instinct we have that we don't want to be just here, we want to be out here. And actually we are. Actually we are. We've never been stuck inside the shell of the body / personality, the so-called small self. That confinement is a kind of dream, it's a kind of illusion. And the part of the problem is because we're in a certain way in love with the form, in love with the small self, we're afraid of breaking the jar. We're afraid of completely letting go in meditation. We're afraid that we're going to melt and we're going to lose our specificity. We're going to lose the body. We're going to lose the personality. To put it another way, we're afraid we're going to die. We're going to die. And in a sense, we're right. That's what happens when you meditate. You die. You die to that. You melt out of the form. You melt out of the thought patterns with which we sustain the sense of being the personality. You melt out of the continuous feedback of, here's my head and here's my shoulders and here's my arms, and just become But actually this is what you were all along. The goose is out. So what I've been finding is just in a very simple way, walking through the day, just having this, it's out here, right? Not in here, it's out here. And you can play. We can do this right now. Actually, start with. This is a thing I learned from my late first wife. She says when something's not making, when like you're trying to unscrew a thing or you're trying to open a window and it can't, she says first push it the other way. Right? Like when people say, "Oh, relax your shoulders." No, first pull your shoulders up to your ears, then drop them. Right? So in a similar way, put your awareness, just decide, have you the attention, the awareness, it's okay, it's within the shell of the body. Okay? Boom. You don't have to think about it. It's just, as soon as we say that, okay, there it is. Right? It's just like if I say, okay, put your awareness, have your attention, have your awareness within the last joint of your one index finger. Boom, it's done. Okay? Now have it within the pinky of the other hand. Okay, done. Now have it fill the whole body. The awareness is in the space of the body. Now have it in, not confined to the body. Have it in, now back in the body again. You don't have to close your eyes, by the way. Okay? Now in the body. Now out of the body. The space within the body. The space not confined to the body. And then stay there. Stay there. Simple. Subtle. And now keep doing that through the day. And I'll see you next week. Right? You're walking around doing stuff, and then when you remember, just, oh yeah. And of course you'll forget a million times, right? And especially when there's something that tends to bring your attention, right? Easy stuff that you don't have to think about much, right? You get up in the morning, you brush your teeth. There's a good thing when you first get up in the morning, because there's a lot of routine stuff that doesn't take a lot of thinking. Your morning, whatever, you're bathing, you're in the shower, you're in the hot tub, whatever, you're brushing your teeth. Maybe you're fixing breakfast. And then, oh yeah, maybe write a note, maybe put a Post-it next to your bed or on the bathroom mirror. So at the beginning of the day, when you're going through that stuff, you remember. And then, easy stuff when you're taking a walk or when you're, right? But then when you're doing stuff, you're working at the computer, you tend to get caught up in that. But just every once in a while, remember, oh yeah, out here. See what happens. And are you all hearing this to some degree? Yeah, good. Yeah, let me know. Report back next week. Come back with your field notes. Any questions or observations about this? I got to say, I'm actually pretty excited about sharing this because this is very alive for me right now. I don't know where this came from, but just in the last week or two, and it's been kind of a whole new level of stuff for me. Yeah, Kristen?
Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, you liberated that in me a while ago with the ocean kind of concept. And funnily enough, before you mentioned the ocean, I had just taken an online yoga video, and at the end of it, as we were coming to the conclusion, she said, allow yourself to take up space. And it just totally hit me like a take up space thing. And I pictured like an octopus, because we'd just done yoga, like really stretching out and just taking up all this space. And then the next day you had said the ocean concept of kind of community, or you're one with everyone. And then my octopus just kind of like vaporized into the ocean. I had a really cool visual. So I don't know if that visual helps anybody else, but that was one of the really cool allow yourself to take up space, then all of a sudden you just kind of become the ocean.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Good. Now what does the ocean vaporize into?
I don't know. You
Yeah.
have to tell me.
Yeah. It's into nothing, into that which has no image.
Yeah.
Don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mom gets it.
Mama knows.
Mom gets it. Hi, Mom. You got it. Yeah. Yeah. Don't think, Kristen. You see, when you roll your eyes up like that, there you're thinking. You're trying to figure stuff out. Don't try to figure it out. Just let it dissolve. The goose is out. The ocean is out. Yeah. It's fun. Waking up is fun. It beats being caught up in that fever dream of, those frustrating dreams where, you're trying to get somewhere and you keep missing the bus, or you don't know what time your thing is, or you're in the classic thing, the actor's nightmare. You're on the stage, you don't know what your lines are, or what the play is about, or you wake up somewhere and you realize you forgot to put your clothes on. All this classic stuff, right? And then you wake up and you go, oh God, thank God it was just a dream. What a relief, right? Now that's how what waking up, this moksha, this liberation, this enlightenment, this realization, that's what that's like. All the stuff of so-called real world, of the waking state, right? I mean, the stuff is still there. The stuff is still there, but actually a certain amount of it we just make up, right? There's more than we realize where there's a certain amount of this stuff that we make up. For example, I was on years ago. I was on a retreat. This was I think a month-long retreat with this Buddhist organization that I used to be connected with. And my this is Maggie, my first wife. She was kind of the right-hand person to the Lama who was teaching the retreat. She was kind of his liaison to the students. She was the den mother. Okay. And we were supposed to be in silence. Mostly we were in silence. But I was getting very perturbed by this one person in the organization. He was kind of an officer, not a teacher, but kind of a mucky-muck in the organization. He always sat up in the front row, and he would always be there for the one teacher's teachings. And whenever this other teacher, who was kind of the co-teacher of the retreats, was there, he wouldn't bother to attend. And I happened to be really fond of this second teacher. I thought that held him in a lot of esteem. And I was getting more and more steamed at this guy. He had the front row center seat, and it was his absence was very conspicuous. And I just thought it was really wrong. And I had to start going on little walk and talks with my wife after lunch to, and I was supposed to be in silence to just, blow off steam about this thing. And finally she said, well, why don't you write him a letter about it? Write him a note about it. Just get it, out of your head. So I go, okay. And I take a piece of paper and I take the only pen that I can find, which happens to be a red pen. Right? So this is going to make it really look like written in flame, written in blood. And I write this whole thing, and I give it to Maggie. She's going to give it to this guy. And we're about maybe halfway through the 1 month retreat. So I give her the thing. The next day, I come down to a meal. I walk in. And of course, the meals are totally in silence. I walk in, first thing I see is he sitting at a table. He looks up at me. I look at him and I see there's this total exchange in our eyeballs, like his kind of saying with his eyes, okay, Dean, I hear what you're saying. I don't necessarily agree. I think maybe you're a little out of line, but I respect you as a person. And, and I'm kind of going, okay, so-and-so, I'm really glad that you're right. And all this is, how it is exchanged in a moment between our eyeballs. 2 weeks later, the retreat ends. And I tell my wife about this and about the exchange in the eyeballs. She said, oh, no, I never gave him that letter. Of course, I would never give him your silly letter when you were totally caught up in the middle of retreat head, getting angry about stuff that's completely, mostly a figment of your imagination, right? So I was just sure, it was so clear, this whole exchange happening between me and him. Nope. Okay, so where was I going with this? Yeah, so we have the dreams at night of all that frustrating stuff, all that, and we wake up and it's, So that's how this waking up is. Only it's waking up out of the, of the stuff that happens in the daylight. Right? And it's that same, what a relief. And can you see how that is somehow of a piece with this not being in here, this same kind of release, the same kind of taking off the tight shoe, the same the same sigh of relief, the same lack of friction, the lack of rubbing. This one Zen writer once said, someone asked him what his awakening was like. He said, it's like being a fish that has spent its whole life in a tank full of glue, and then one day you swim into the open sea. Okay? What else?
I just wanted to say, in your guidance, you talked about the very ordinary, and you've said this, as part of your language a lot, that the aspect of us that is not ordinary is all the getting caught up in all the stuff, and that this is just ordinary awareness. And that's a tricky thing, because our association with the concept of ordinary is actually to be caught up, whereas to be aware of awareness is actually, it is quite special. And I get what you're saying about ordinary, but it's like we have to change our definition of ordinary somehow, to me, when I hear that, because it is, it shouldn't be special, but it is kind of to be aware of awareness.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yeah. To be aware of awareness is it's not inherently special. There isn't some special quality to it. It's right. We could say it's literally extraordinary, right? Because most of the time, most people are not being aware of awareness. They're ordinary situations, but the awareness that we become aware of is completely ordinary. It's totally ordinary awareness, because it's the only awareness there is. There isn't regular awareness, doesn't come in regular and special, right? It doesn't come in vanilla and exotic. And you see, we have these unexamined assumptions. And I think a whole lot of practice and insight and especially this comes under the insight part, is that we spend a lot of our practice life kind of laboring under these unexamined assumptions and not realizing that we're doing it. We don't even realize they're assumptions. We think they're reality. You know, I mean, on the kind of very elementary level, there's an assumption that a lot of people start off with, I know I did, that, oh, awakening is like this 24-hour a day, 7-day a week psychedelic orgasm, right? And I think a lot of people like me coming out of the 60s, perhaps, you know, where it was about these peak experiences and this idea that you'd be at this peak experience all the time. A lot of people maybe had that. And so without even realizing it, you could be sitting there in meditation, meditating for days and months. And there's a part of you that's going, where's that psychedelic orgasm? You know, and that's keeping you from completely just settling down into what is right here. I remember Ngak'chang Rinpoche, this Welsh Lama that I used to study with, him once saying just using the phrase, and I don't even remember the rest of the sentence. I just remember him using the phrase one day, addiction to intensity. And as soon as I heard that, I went, oh, right. That's me. That I didn't realize that I was that, because that was one of those unexamined assumptions, that you're always looking for the intense thing, and that's a concept. And just seeing that, you know, when you see these things, and then you see that clearly once, and then you're free from that. You see that was just a thought, that was a concept, that was a thing that you set up to pursue, and then you were stuck in pursuing it. So yeah, when we give in to the idea of just being with this awareness, which is right here, the awareness that may have been overlooked, but it's the one that's been here, the only one there is, it's been here as the silent witness to every experience and every moment of our life. And we just give in to just settling into that ordinary awareness, then that facilitates the extraordinary situation of being aware of it, and then noticing that, oh, this is I've stopped suffering. Oh, I've woken up from the fever dream of and into And then as you more and more come to live in that, you go, this is completely ordinary. Not that, oh, now I'm bored with it. Because to be bored with stuff, you can only get bored with stuff over time. And the nature of that awakening is it's outside of time. It's the one thing you can never get bored with, because it's not in time. It's outside of time. It's ever fresh. This is the stuff you can't get on paper, which is always, you know, I'm always trying to write about this stuff. How I can't, if I could figure out how to spell going from to then I could write that. What else? Yes, Yehudit. Unmute yourself, please. Unmute yourself. You're muted.
Okay.
There,
so how did you change your assumptions about the guy who was irritating you, but then he gave you his eyebrows rolling?
Yeah.
How did you change for the rest of the week and then it came out, whatever it was, that it wasn't what you were your assumptions.
Right.
What did he continue to do? What was irritating you, and how did you change your attitude to that, thinking that he read your letter?
Right. Well,
I mean,
yeah. No, it's a great question. Yeah. No, it's
like two people know the same language, so we have always assumption. What are they saying?
Yeah.
So, did you change your attitude? I mean, like, what happened? It's just really interesting because we suffer a lot because of assumptions. We don't speak up. We don't know what the other person maybe is going to say or tell, and we are all those assumptions that are really, unfortunately, bringing us lots of. Anyway,
yes.
I don't know. I'm getting into too much.
Yes. Yes. These assumptions bring us lots of dukkha, we say in the Dharma talk. Tsuras, we say in Jewish talk, right? A lot of tsuras. That's how you spell it's tsuras, dukkha. It's the pebble in the shoe, and sometimes it's a boulder in the shoe. So in that case, no, it's a very good question. In that case, first, let me point out, this is one of the many reasons why the standard instruction in most of these long retreats is that you're in silence. Is that so that you don't get other people entangled in your own mishigas, right? In your craziness that you're going through, right? You still have to go through your own, but this way you're not dragging other people in, and you're not supposed to be writing these letters. But my wife was the student liaison to the Lama. She told me to write the letter, so I said great, and that kind of got it off my chest. I thought, okay, I delivered the message, and of course that was completely an illusion orchestrated by my wife, who was much wiser about these things than I was. Right? So how did I change my attitude? In my case, I did not have the wisdom to change my attitude, so it had to come from the outside. And this is how these things work. If you don't find a way from the inside, and this is a very good question, because the answer here really has a big application. It's not just to this odd situation of being on a Dharma retreat somewhere. All these things that come at us, either we find a way internally to expand ourselves, to open, to be able to meet it, to deal with it in a way that's more open, more intelligent, more skillful, hopefully more kind and compassionate. We find it within ourselves. And if not, it's going to have to come from the outside. It's like in the cartoons where the safe falls on your head. Something has to fall on your head. And this is one, and really, I'm quite convinced of this, that the stuff that comes at us from the environment is all ultimately orchestrated by our own greater wisdom. Right? Because it's all coming from the self. It's all manifestation of self with a capital S. So if self with the small s can't come up with it, this is how I open to this. This is how right? Then something's going to come from the outside. In this case, it was just a little bit outside of me. It was my wife, right? And fortunately, she was very kind and compassionate, and she had the wisdom to treat me very gently and right. Otherwise, if she'd not been there, maybe I would have sparked some confrontation with this guy. Maybe I would have created some mess or something. I would have had to get some kind of safe on my head. You see what I'm saying? You see all the. It's a very interesting kind of perspective experiment to just say, okay, let me try this on. What if I just try on all the stuff that comes at me? I go, this thing is I went to the store. They were supposed to be open. I phoned in my order. It's so difficult during quarantine. And I went to the store and they were closed. The sign said, the website said they were going to be open and they were closed. This just happened to us today. Or this person and all this stuff that, pain in the ass, blah, 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 blah. What if we regard all of it as being orchestrated by our bigger self, our greater self, and that it's all there to kind of pummel us and crack our head open and crack our heart open to a bigger reality somehow? You know? Maybe just try that on. See, and again, can you see that also is somehow of a piece with, okay, is the aware presence confined within the body? Or is it out here, unconfined, unrestrained? Can you see that if we say all that stuff that comes at us, it's not coming from out, it's coming from the self, that's of a piece with the self is all this out here.
It's a struggle within itself.
Say it again.
Struggling a lot.
Say it one more time.
It's a struggle. It's the struggle from within self. We deal with it really every day. Beside the struggles from the outside that we have no control with, but a lot of the struggles are inside us with our thoughts, whatever, and we mess up. And so how we deal with that.
Yeah.
And the meditation perhaps help us to loosen the grip.
Loosen the
when we deal with those.
Relax the grip is always good. Relax the grip is always good. But can you see part of what I'm saying here is that you hear the terms you're using there, inside and outside, which we thought we knew, this is what inside is, this is what outside is, and it's a very clear demarcation. And we start to see, maybe it's not such a clear division after all. Maybe it's not just, there's this dotted line. Everything on this side of the line is inside, everything is outside. Maybe it's more interesting than that. So maybe just be more open to that possibility. This is just all stuff we can play with. The stuff that resonates for you, great. You can use that. The other stuff, maybe you can use it next week.
Wonderful. Thank you. Wonderful.
Good. You bet. You bet. Anything else tonight?
Marie?
I just want to say it was a great class.
Oh, good.
That's a really, really great class. And
good.
Lots of explanation within it. So thank you.
Good. Thank you all. It's good for me too. Let's sing. We're like in a Rodgers and Hammerstein musical. When there's nothing to say, then it's time to sing. Perfect. So I'm going to mute you again for the moment, so you can feel free to sing along if you like. Okay, actually no ukulele necessary for this one. So I think some of you have done this one with me before, and some of you are in any case familiar with this one. Gaté, paragaté, parasamgaté, bodhi, svaha. Gaté, gone beyond. Paragaté, gone supremely beyond. Para, like paramount. Parasamgaté, some, all gone supremely, completely beyond. Bodhi, bodhi, like Buddha, awake, awakened out of the fever dream, awakened out of the illusion, the dream that the aware presence is contained within the shell of the body. Liberated. And then only one thing left to say, svaha. Yeah, baby. Svaha, the victory cry. Gaté, gaté, paragaté, parasamgaté, bodhi, svaha. Gaté, gaté, paragaté, parasamgaté, bodhi, svaha. And let me mention, we may speed up here. When we speed up, and this is technique, when we speed up, there's a tendency to kind of feel, oh, it's more intense, go the other way. The faster it gets, the more relaxed you should become, the more just let it go, let it flow. Not, but, okay? Gaté, gaté, paragaté, parasamgaté, bodhi, svaha. Gaté, gaté, paragaté, parasamgaté, bodhi, svaha. Gaté, gaté, paragaté, parasamgaté, bodhi, svaha. And one more thing, there's no repetition when we chant, because it's only ever the one we're on right now, the syllable we're on right now. And gaté, gaté, paragaté, parasamgaté, bodhi, svaha. 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 Gaté, gaté, paragaté, parasamgaté, parasamgaté, bodhi, svaha. Gaté, gaté, paragaté, 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 parasamgaté, bodhi, swaha. 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 Gaté, gaté, paragaté, parasamgaté, bodhi, Gaté, gaté, paragaté, parasamgaté, bodhi, swaha. Gaté, gaté, paragaté, parasamgaté, bodhi, swaha. Gaté, gaté, paragaté, parasamgaté, bodhi, gaté, gaté, paragaté, parasamgaté, bodhi, swaha. Gaté, gaté, paragaté, parasamgaté, bodhi, gaté, gaté, paragaté, parasamgaté, bodhi, swaha. Gaté, gaté, paragaté, parasamgaté, bodhi, swaha. Gaté, gaté, paragaté, parasamgaté, bodhi, gaté, gaté, paragaté, parasamgaté, bodhi, swaha. Gaté, gaté, paragaté, parasamgaté, bodhi, swaha. Gaté, gaté, paragaté, parasamgaté, bodhi, swaha. Okay, so thank you all. And Marie, you're right. I think this was a good session tonight. And I want to just come back to the simplicity of that one thing, because we talked about a few aspects that may have made it seem complicated, but it comes to the simplicity of this thing I want to suggest to you, which is, I'm getting feedback from someone. Hold on. Just bringing it back to the simplicity that this aware presence, this I, this sense that this I that we are is not confined within the shell of the body. That's simple. That's simple. And I just really want to suggest you just keep, oh yeah, here, the goose is out. It's out. And then just be from there. Just be from there. Not trying to look around the corners with your eyes, because your eyes are here, but your being is here. Play with it. We'll talk next week. So, may all beings swiftly realize that this fever dream of suffering is just a fever dream of suffering, that they're not contained within the shell of the body or anything else. And thus may true happiness be noticed as the nature of this ordinary, extraordinary awareness, which we've been all along. How did we miss it? And thus peace prevail everywhere. Loka samastaha sukhino bhavantu. Loka samastaha sukhino bhavantu. Loka samastaha sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
See ya.
See you next year.
See ya. See you next. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New
Happy
Year.
New Year.
Here.
Enjoy.
Yeah.
Enjoy being. Enjoy everything.